Sakyamuni Buddha asked Ananda, where are your mind and eyes? And Ananda replied to the Buddha, Most Honored One, which means the Guru revered by the world, the 10 classes of beings in all the worlds. There are 10 classes of beings in the Saha world. So, the 10 classes of mundane beings. So what are the 10 classes of mundane beings? We know 4 of them that are most important. We know one is those born from eggs, like chicken, that will hatch from eggs. So those born through eggs. And those born from wombs, like humans. We were born as a human through the womb. Next is through water. Those were born from the water. So from moisture, like the mosquitoes who have the eggs in the water, so they hatch in water or from moisture, and one is born from transformations. Like viruses were all transformed or mutated. So we know of these 4 births. Those are most important. And then another 6 classes. Born from thoughts, from no thoughts, from no non-thoughts, and etc., etc. A total of 10 types or 10 classes. There's no need to remember those. You will not be born that way anyway, or you will not give birth like that. So in the Saha world, there are 10 kinds of things. Whether you want them born or not, they're born. So born from wanting to be born or not wanting to be born. So basically there are 10 classes of mundane beings. Commonly believe that their conscious mind resides within their body. So the consciousness is in the body. So conscious mind, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, root of mind, and Alaya, which is the 8th consciousness. So some people talk about 6 consciousnesses, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. They're all inside the body, according to Ananda. Looking at you, Tathagata, I see your blue lotus eyes on your face. So blue lotus eyes. Sakyamuni Buddha eyes are very clear and deep, like the great ocean, like lotus blossoms. On the Buddha's face. You're looking at Sakyamuni Buddha, your eyes are on your face. Now, as I observe these floating roots of the four dust, the four sense organs and four sense objects, what the eye see are forms or visual objects. What the nose smells is fragrance or odor or smell. And what the tongue tastes eyes, nose, mouth, and touch is what the body touching your body. There's a feeling. Like when you shake hands, when you hug each other, when you kiss, that's even more feelings. If you just touch slightly, like the Westerners have this kiss each other on the cheeks or hug each other, that's also touch. Or when tongue is intermingling with tongue, that would give even stronger sensation. That's called touch. The sense of touch. So what the eye see is called forms. What the nose smells is called smells of fragrance. And what the tongue tastes is called taste. And what the body touches is called touch. And that's called floating roots of the four dust. They are clearly on my face. So eyes, nose, tongue, and skin. So these four sense organs are on my face. Similarly, my conscious mind is also in my body, Ananda said. So Ananda said, and Sakyamuni Buddha said to Ananda, you are now seated in the Tathagata's teaching hall, looking out at the Jeta Grove. Where are they? You are now seated in the Tathagata's teaching hall, looking out at the Jeta Grove. Where are they? Like now, we are seated inside the Seattle temple, and you look at the trees outside. Are they there? The Buddha asked Ananda, you are seated in the Tathagata's teaching hall, and you look at the trees of the Jeta Grove. Where are they? Ananda replied, but honored one, inside the Anathapindika, there wasn't just one teaching hall. Like our Seattle temple, there's only one. But in the Anathapindika, he built 72 teaching halls. 72. So 72 Dharma thrones and teaching halls, places to give Dharma teachings. So I don't know whether there was another or other people other than Sakyamuni Buddha. Maybe many of his disciples each had a teaching hall, a total of 72 teaching halls that were built by the Anathapindika for Sakyamuni Buddha. The garden of Anathapindika, of course, were also given by Anathapindika. And the grove belonged to the prince Jeta. And there were many trees in it. So now you're seated in the teaching hall. Do you see the trees outside? Sakyamuni Buddha asked. In this great multi-storied pavilion and the quiet and peaceful teaching hall is in the garden of Anathapindika. Now the Jeta Grove is actually outside the hall. Of course I know. And then the Buddha asked Ananda, Ananda, what do you see first while inside the hall? Ananda replied, Sakyamuni Buddha, while inside the hall, I first see the Tathagata, you. Sakyamuni Buddha. Then I see all the assembly. Only when I look outside, I see the grove and garden. And Sakyamuni Buddha asked again, Ananda, Venerable, when you look at the grove and garden, how is it that you are able to see them? And Ananda replied, Sakyamuni Buddha, this great teaching hall has open doors and windows. So the teaching hall has windows, and looking out the windows, it's very wide and open. So while inside the hall, I can also see the grove, replied Ananda. So the Buddha extended his golden arm to bless Ananda. So at this time, Sakyamuni Buddha, amidst the assembly, extended his golden arm. I remember at the Gridakurta. Why is it called Gridakurta? Because there was a kind of birds there. That's why it's called the vulture peak. When these birds crowed, it's very screeching. So Ananda had his own cave. I had visited, when I went to India, I had visited the caves of Ananda and Sariputra. And Sariputra's cave was very close to the cave of Pindola, which was the long white-browed venerable whom we enshrined at the front door of the cafeteria. So I visited the caves of Ananda and Sariputra. So one cave per person, and they eat, sleep, and cultivate in the caves. So Sakyamuni Buddha gave teachings at the teaching hall of Gridakuta. So one night, Ananda heard the vultures screeching very badly, so he felt horror and fear in his heart. So Sakyamuni Buddha knew of that, and he extended his arm very long into the cave of Ananda and touched the head of Ananda and said, "Don't be afraid, I am here." So when Ananda heard the crow of vultures, he felt fear in his heart. So Sakyamuni Buddha's golden arms can extend very long. So one time when I was in Taiwan, at that time I was infected with cellulitis in one of my legs. It was very severe. If it wasn't taken care of, it was to be amputated. Because if the virus moved upward, then you would lose your life. So I got injections of antibiotics, the strongest kind, Tagacid, in order to eliminate the swell in the legs. And before the injection, I was lying on my sick bed, and in the sky there was the Venerable Elder Xu Yun. And he extended his golden arm from the cloud in the sky all the way down to give you blessings and touch my head so that my cellulitis leg can be cured. That was also a very strange, interesting thing. That was during my retreat? No. That was not during the retreat. I was giving Dharma teachings already then. So even with cellulitis, I still went to the Taiwan Lichang Temple, giving Dharma teaching and giving blessings seated, because one of the legs could not move, could not bend. It was swollen really big. Very difficult to cure. So if we could not take care of the swell and it moves upward, the person can die. So the Venerable Elder Xu Yun extended his golden arm and touched my head, giving blessing, and luckily I recovered. So Sakyamuni Buddha too extended the golden arm. So enter into samadhi. We often talk about this, enter samadhi. After the mantra chanting, they would say, perform 9-cycle Buddha breathing and enter samadhi. And this is the samadhi. But today, I entered into sleep. So I was nodding my head, my body swaying, and when I opened my eyes, I knew it's merit dedication time. And this is the samadhi known as the great Buddha crown, Surangama king. So Surangama king is the name of the samadhi. Is the Buddha, is the samadhi of the Buddha, the supreme and very marvelous, dignified samadhi of the Buddha. And it's endowed with all kinds of merits and endowed with all kinds of conducts. So all the Tathagatas, when entering this samadhi, is very wonderful and marvelous, magnificent. So in this great assembly, so now listen attentively. And Ananda bowed in reverence and humbly received the compassionate instruction that the Buddha was about to speak on the great Buddha crown, Surangama king. So Ananda paid homage to receive the compassionate teaching of Sakyamuni Buddha. So this was missing from before. Now we will go back to talk about where your eyes and mind are. It will continue to talk about that. What time is it now?
我告诉大家哈，前面刚刚讲的这一段书经是
This passage that we just talked about, the golden arm blessing Ananda and telling Ananda and the great assembly, there is a samadhi called the great Buddha crown Surangama king that's endowed with myriad conduct. This excerpt is not here. This is not placed right. Actually, it was missing. It was added. So this is one of the mistakes of the sutra. This excerpt should have been before or after, but not in the middle of this. That's a different excerpt that's added in here. So that's why many people who research Surangama Sutra found this is a problem. This is problematic. Because this is not related. It's out of context. Because it was talking about the eyes and the mind, and all of a sudden there's this peace. That's why it's said to be wrong, wrongly placed. Some great master mentioned it. They were discussing where the eyes are, where the mind is. Oh, you will have a big headache reading that part.
真的不干脆啦。
It's not concise, it's not direct, it's not clear.
看到什么？看到什么？
Asking so many questions, what you see, what you see, what you see, doesn't matter.
不过它也是好，这是一种逻辑呀。
But that's a kind of logic. It's also good.
常常讲心，
It's a very
心在哪里？ 真的很难答出来。
tough deduction. So, where's your mind?
是那个
Where's your heart?
那个
It's very difficult to answer. Is that the organ
心
heart?
上那是肉团心的。
No, that's the organ, the physical
你
organ.
讲的心呐，
But the heart,
应该讲是唯识的心。
mind that we're talking about should be the consciousness
这很难讲的。
of Yogacara. It's very difficult to say. Where is it really?
释迦牟尼就是要问阿难，
So Sakyamuni Buddha wanted to ask Ananda, where is your mind or heart? Where are your eyes?
因为目跟这个心呐，
Because the eyes and the heart mind,
我们眼睛看到，
so generally speaking, when the eye see, the mind would
眼睛
perceive.
跟心是合一的。
So that's why the eyes and the mind are in union. But is it really in union? That's the
大
question.
家来辩论。
So he kept asking this, and everybody's thinking it over and discussing it. Where are the eyes? Where is the heart mind? Very lengthy.
我不知道释迦牟尼佛那么啰嗦。
I don't know that Sakyamuni Buddha is so verbose. Had I known, I wouldn't discuss this sutra.